Can you hear me? Thank you very much. So, 안녕하십니까? 바쁘실 텐데 와주셔서 감사합니다. Thank you very much for coming today, and thank you, Language World, for inviting me today. So what I want to talk about is the future of English, and it's really about think differently, teach differently, because that's where we are now. We've really got to think differently, we've really got to teach differently. And could we cut these lights, please? Thanks very much. Good, let's have a look then. Expanding horizons. What's happening here? What's happening to our teaching context? Well, if I'm very lucky, let's have a look. Yes, there we go. Is that the first one? No, 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 no. So that's one thing straight away. When we're using technology, these things happen, don't they? Straight away, funny things happen. So here we are. Here's some information for me. You've got it on your handouts. I'm going to leave the Prezi on this computer. The Prezi is also online. You can go and find it. You can search for it, or you can send me an email and I can send you the Prezi. This is my website, finchpark.com. And on there you can see books, videos, courses, drama, PPP, PowerPoints, lots of things. What I've done in 20 years in Korea is I've made lots and lots of resources and I've put them up there. Especially the books. When I first came to Korea, all the books were from America and all these other places, and they were all ESL books, and they were not good for Korean students. So I've written lots of books for Korean students that you can download, and you can download them free of charge and no copyright problem. It's my copyright, okay? So you download, help yourself. Maybe we'll have a look later on. And as you can see, I'm Professor of English Education at Kyungpook National at the moment. Right, let's move on. Here we are then, what are we going to talk about? There's so much going on at the moment. It's just incredible the way things are changing. We've got world Englishes. Then we're going to look at postmodernism. Don't worry, I won't go too deep into that. We're going to look at learning models, English education, smart technology, and holistic teaching learning. This is where we're going to go today. And we're going to end up with holistic teaching. This is what we've got to be doing now. And as you can see, this Prezi, this is part of it, isn't it? Prezi is part of what's happening to us now. And there it is. These are physical horizons. This is what's happening to us. This is what's happening to our world. If you go to Australia, this is the world map in Australia. Really, this is the map with Australia at the top. Well, of course it's at the top. Yes. Can you see Korea? Where is Korea? It's in the middle, isn't it? Yes, isn't that wonderful? And notice now the southern hemisphere is on the top. Not the northern hemisphere. We've had all this colonialism, imperialism from the northern hemisphere. Now we're talking about the southern hemisphere. Things are happening in the southern hemisphere. And here's another thing here. This is TED. I'm sure you all know TED, don't you? This is another example of how our world is changing. I remember when I first came to Korea, it was really difficult even to show a VHS movie. It was so difficult. Now we just go to the internet, YouTube, TED, and we can show them straight away. So this has really revolutionized what we're doing. And if we go and have a look at that, as you know, here we have an interactive transcript. So while he's talking, we can watch the words and we can see the words that he's actually saying. Here we can save it till later. We can download this talk. We can rate it and we can go to Twitter and things like this. We can get subtitles, we can get all sorts of things. So let's have a look at this. This is Jay Walker, and he's talking about English mania, mostly in China, but this is what they call the English learning frenzy. Everybody in the world wants to learn English at the moment, and this is what's happening, as I said, mostly in China.
Listen as Chinese students practice their English by screaming it. people are trying to learn English worldwide? 2 billion of them. In Latin America, in India, in Southeast Asia, and most of all in China. If you're a Chinese student, you start learning English in the 3rd grade by law. That's why this year, China will become the world's largest English-speaking country. Why English? In a single word, opportunity. Opportunity for a better life, a job, to be able to pay for school or put better food on the table. Imagine a student taking a giant test for 3 full days. Her score on this one test literally determines her future. She studies 12 hours a day for 3 years to prepare. 25% of her grade is based on English. It's called the Gaokao, and 80 million high school Chinese students have already taken this grueling test. The intensity to learn English is almost unimaginable unless you witness it. Perfect. 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 I want to speak perfect English. I want to speak perfect English. I want to change my life. So is English mania good or bad? Is English a tsunami washing away other languages? Not likely. English is the world's 2nd language. Your native language is your life, but with English you can become part of a wider conversation, a global conversation about global problems, like climate change or poverty or hunger or disease. The world has other universal languages. Mathematics is the language of science. Music is the language of emotions. And now English is becoming the language of problem solving, not because America is pushing it, but because the world is pulling it. So English mania is a turning point. Like the harnessing of electricity in our cities or the fall of the Berlin Wall, English represents hope for a better future. A future where the world has a common language to solve its common problems. Thank you very much.
Wow, isn't that amazing? So there are more non-native speakers of English in the world than there are native speakers. And most of those people are in China. So I'll get onto that in a minute. This is another thing that's happening now, mobility. Mobility is happening everywhere. As it says, populations are mobile, businesses are mobile, tourists are mobile. Mobile phones are changing how we communicate. Have you ever, when was the last time you saw a costume drama? Like Pride and Prejudice, all this sort of thing. There are the people, how do they communicate? They send a letter. How does the letter get there? It goes by horse carriage. It takes ages to get there. I'm reading some novels written in the 18th century. They're talking about letters taking 4 days to get somewhere. 4 days. All we have to do is pick up the phone and we're immediately in contact. It's incredible. So national borders are being crossed. Cultural borders are being crossed. And we're living in the age of the global village. So what do we do about this as teachers? And here we are. Let's get into world Englishes. As you saw, there are more Chinese non-native speakers than there are native speakers. I want to say later on, there are no native speakers anymore. We've gone. What we have now is world Englishes. Have you heard of world Englishes? Another term for this is regional Englishes. Can you see Konglish? Konglish is a world English. Konglish is a regional English. People are writing papers now about Konglish. They're writing them in journals. We have journals about world Englishes. Konglish is a language. It is a valid language. You can say things in Konglish that I can't say, because you have your culture inside Konglish. You have Korean inside Konglish. You have the whole culture in there. So when your teacher says Konglish is wrong, you say, no, no, Konglish is a regional English. It's okay. And when you get businessmen coming together in Asia, and when they're speaking Chinglish, Shanglish, Japlish, Thailish, Singlish, Konglish, Spanglish, Serblish, they all sit together and they understand each other. They do. They understand each other because they're using what we call low context English. Low context. They mean what they say. The words mean what you say. Then in comes the native speaker from South Carolina. I hope there's no one here from South Carolina. Sorry about that. He comes in and he starts using idioms and double meanings and assumptions, and nobody understands him. So world Englishes are really good. This is the English of the future. This really is. When Asian business people get together, they use world Englishes. So please be proud of Konglish, okay? I love Konglish. Let's move on. There we are. Now, this is talking, see at the bottom here, English is an Asian language. I think this was said by the Prime Minister of Singapore. And he said, the Prime Minister of Singapore, he said, when I speak English, I want everyone to know that I come from Singapore. And it's the same with me. When I speak Korean, I want everyone to know that I'm English. I'm an Englishman speaking Korean. So what's happening at the moment is that we have EFL. What is EFL? Yes, English is a foreign language. That's where we are, or where we were. What's ESL? English is a second language. What's the difference? I'll go straight in, shall I? Right, in America, England, New Zealand, Australia, we have ESL. English is the second language. When the students walk out of the classroom, most people speak English outside of the classroom. So the teacher says, oh, look at me, I'm a wonderful English teacher because all my students speak English. No, 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 they learned English outside the classroom. Whereas in Korea, we have EFL, which means when our students go outside of the classroom, everyone speaks Korean. The only place they can speak English is inside the classroom. So when the teacher is speaking, the students are not speaking. This is something we really have to think about. How about EGL? Yes, English is a global language. EIL? International language. Now we're getting somewhere. And ELF? Actually, the answer is on the board there. English as lingua franca, which means it's everybody's language. It belongs to everybody. It's used by everybody. This is where we are now. English is a lingua franca. It's owned by everybody in the world. It doesn't belong to native speakers anymore. It's a lingua franca. This is where we are. Now, I'm going to go into postmodernism for a bit, so go to sleep if you want to. But I want to get just a little bit deep here and say, because this really affects our English classes, postmodernism. This is what's happening in our society at the moment, is crossing of borders. Everywhere, crossing of borders. Decolonization. Decentralization. Deconstruction. Eclecticism and pastiche. This is happening everywhere in our society. Look at some postmodern buildings in Seoul and you'll see these things. Also relativism, self-contradiction and self-reference. Okay, this is all very well, but how does this affect English teaching? Well, border crossing, we're doing this all the time. Because we're using any text, we're using newspapers, comics, novels, songs, internet, films, pop music. We're using everything. We've crossed all the borders. We don't use literature anymore. And this is very interesting because we used to use, when English first came to Korea, they used the Bible. Then they got into literature, and now we've got into this, and now we're going back into literature as well. We're talking about using literature to teach English. So literature is one of these things that we can use now. Decolonization. Again, we have to be very careful because when I first came to Korea, hundreds of years ago, English was definitely about a foreign culture. It was about bringing a different culture into the classroom. And I know lots of teachers used to go in and say, my culture is better than your culture. This is colonialism. And we've gone beyond that now. We're beyond that. We're decolonized. We don't talk about native speakers anymore. We don't talk about superiority of cultures anymore. We are decolonized. We have world Englishes. We have no more linguistic imperialism. So again, if your teacher comes in and says, oh, arranged marriages, we don't have arranged marriages in our country, you can say, excuse me, that is linguistic imperialism. Could you stop that, please? Okay. Death of EFL. Yes, no more English as a foreign language. English is everybody's language. It's not a foreign language. Regional Englishes, ELF, multilingual teachers from the L1 country. Again, this is very, very important because you know lots of EPIK teachers have gone now. You know EPIK, E-P-I-K, English Program in Korea. These are the foreign teachers who were invited to Korea to teach English. Now 80% of those have been said, thank you very much, goodbye. They've gone. Now what we're looking at is bilingual Korean teachers coming into the classroom as teaching assistants. There are thousands of bilingual Koreans in Korea with qualifications. There are thousands of them. They can come into the classroom as teaching assistants. And they're also role models. They're role models because the students look at them and they say, ah, Miss Kim is bilingual. Wow, that's fantastic. She can do that, I can do that. So we're talking about role models now, not about foreigners coming from a different country and modeling the language. We don't need to model the language. The language is on the internet everywhere. And there's deconstruction, breaking down traditional ideas about teaching. And that's what we're looking at today. All the traditional ideas are basically finished. For example, in China, not so long ago, in China, they suddenly decided, they said, we've had 50 years of grammar translation, and it doesn't work. So no more grammar translation. Now we're going to have bilingual teaching. The only problem, where are the bilingual teachers? But officially in China now, it's bilingual teaching. There we are, eclecticism, borrowing ideas from science, sociology, psychology. Again, this is something I tell my students, the Yongo Gyeogyokwa students. I say, in 10 years' time, you will be teaching science in English. Or you will be teaching history in English. Or geography in English. So start studying geography or history or social sciences because it's going to be content-based. It's going to be C-L-I-L. You're going to be teaching something in English. Pastiche, authenticity. We all know authenticity is very important. Real-life situations, real-life language. And relativism. This comes in with alternative assessment, classroom-based assessment, different learning styles, multiple intelligences, learning backgrounds, beliefs, perceptions. Every student is different. This is where we are now. Every student in my class is unique. Unique. So why am I teaching the same thing to everybody? Because they're all unique, they're all different. What are the multiple intelligences of my students? What are the learning styles? What are their backgrounds? What are their beliefs? This is what I've got to look at so that I can help them to learn English. So Step one is stop teaching the same thing to everyone at the same time. Stop. Now what do I do? We've just opened the door there. Please walk through that door. That's a wonderful door. Start giving individual attention to all your students. And there are lots of ways of doing it. Self-contradiction and self-reference. Again, self-reference, alternative assessment, language learning strategies, self-assessment, peer response, teachers as counselors, learners as teachers. This is the sort of reflective idea of teaching now. Getting the students to assess themselves, getting the students to think about their learning. Teachers as counselors, not why haven't you bought your book today? Why are you late today? But hey, what's the problem? How can I help you? Let's have a look at this. Okay, we've got bullying in the classroom. Right, let's have a look at this. Let's talk to the bullies. Let's talk to the victims. Let's get some conflict resolution going on. Teachers as counselors, conflict resolution. This is wonderful. Your classroom is society. So if you've got bullying in your society, you can teach the students how to deal with it. Conflict resolution. So if no one has taught you how to do conflict resolution on the teacher training course, please go and find out, how do I do this? How can I get conflict resolution in my classroom? And then you're really teaching your students for life. For life. So that when they have a conflict in Samsung or LG, they know what to do. They just say, conflict resolution, okay, off we go. And it's the same with corruption. Corruption starts in the classroom. Really, corruption starts in the classroom. Well, I've been in a middle school where the middle school students actually told me, no, it was high school, grade 1, and they said, our teacher is a wonderful teacher. And I said, why is that? And they said, he doesn't take any money from publishers. Okay? Publishers coming with the envelope and please use our textbook. No, he doesn't do it. And the students were very proud of him. So he's teaching his students not to be corrupt. So if we have corrupt politicians, the way to get rid of them is in the classroom. Because the next generation of politicians is in the classroom. And you can show them how to do it. Let's have a look at some learning models. I finished with postmodern here. Again, this is where we are, or this is where we have been. We've been in the Industrial Revolution. We've had a factory model of learning. We've had behaviorism. We have high-stakes testing. This is what happens on the left. Factory model of learning, high-stakes testing. Does it work? What we're moving into now is the digital revolution. We're there, we're in the digital revolution. So we need the agricultural venture model. We need a socio-cultural approach. And we need portfolios and projects. In America now, you can get into Harvard and other universities by showing them a portfolio. I know some students have said, no, I'm not going to do the CSAT or the SAT. No, I'm not going to do it. It's wrong. It's incorrect. And then Harvard says, okay, show us your portfolio. So there we are. There's the old model. The old model of teaching is broken. We now need a new model of teaching. A new glass. Actually, this is an English proverb. Can you see what proverb this is? Shall I give you a hint? New wine. New wine. You can't put new wine in old bottles. You can't put new wine in old bottles because they break. Here is the new wine. This is the digital revolution. we can't put it inside grammar translation and the Sunam test. We've got to change. We will change. It's already changing. If the Sunam test doesn't change, things will go on without it. Right, I've done lots of talking. Let's have a look at Sir Ted Robinson. He's talking basically about the same thing. So let's have a look. I hope. What happens if we click on here?
Every country on earth at the moment is reforming public education. There are two reasons for it. The first of them is economic. People are trying to work out, how do we educate our children to take their place in the economies of the 21st century? How do we do that? Given that we can't anticipate what the economy will look like at the end of next week, as the recent turmoil is demonstrating. How do we do that? The second, though, is cultural. Every country on earth is trying to figure out, how do we educate our children so they have a sense of cultural identity and so that we can pass on the cultural genes of our community. How do we square that circle? The problem is they're trying to meet the future by doing what they did in the past. And on the way, they're alienating millions of kids who don't see any purpose in going to school. When we went to school, we were kept there with a story, which is if you worked hard and did well and got a college degree, you'd have a job. Our kids don't believe that. And they're right not to, by the way. You're better having a degree than not, but it's not a guarantee anymore. And particularly not if the route to it marginalises most of the things that you think are important about it. I believe we have a system of education that is modelled on the interest in industrialism and in the image of it. I'll give you a couple of examples. Schools are still pretty much organised on factory lines, so ringing bells, separate facilities, specialised into separate subjects. We still educate children by batches. You know, we put them through the system by age group. Why do we do that? You know, why is there this assumption that the most important thing kids have in common is how old they are? You know, it's like the most important thing about them is their date of manufacture. I mean, well, I know kids who are much better than other kids at the same age in different disciplines, you know, or at different times of the day, or better in smaller groups than in larger groups, or sometimes they want to be on their own. If you're interested in the model of learning, you don't start from this production line mentality. It's essentially about conformity, and increasingly it's about that as you look at the growth of standardised testing and standardised curricula. And it's about standardisation. I believe we've got to go in the exact opposite direction. That's what I mean about changing the paradigm.
So there we are, changing the paradigm, going in a different direction. And Korea will do this. Korea can do this. Please believe it. Korea has been doing educational reforms for the last 20 years. It's always reforming. Sometimes it reforms forwards, sometimes it reforms backwards. But it's always reforming. So things will happen with Korea. It's places like England where they don't reform. Right. So let's get some more interaction here. This is the PISA. Do you know the PISA? P-I-S-A. Yes? Program for International Student Assessment. And it's run by UNESCO. So it's completely accredited around the world. And they get students from around the world, as you can see, all these countries down here. And they assess them every 3 years or so. This is from 2009, and this is about reading. Can you see Korea? Can you see Korea there? Where is it? It's at the top. It's at the top. So the point I want to make here, is that again in the old paradigm, it's very easy to blame the students. And to say, oh, the students don't understand. Oh, the students didn't pass the test. Oh, my students are terrible. It's very easy to do that. What we have to do is turn it the other way around now. And say, if my students don't understand, it's my fault. It's my problem. If I've got some bad students in my class. What am I going to do about it? It's my problem. Because Korean students are the best in the world. Yes, so don't go blaming Korean students. Really. All the Korean students I've dealt with for 20 years have been wonderful students. They're really, really good. You've just got to find out how to motivate them, how to help them, and they really, really do react. So there we are, there's reading. Mathematics, where's Korea? Where's Korea? At the top. Don't blame the students. We've got to change from that paradigm. It's my problem. All my students are unique. I'm going to find out how to help every student in my class. Science, where's Korea? Third, where's the United States? United Kingdom. And can you see what's number one? Finland, right. Finland is always up there, number one. And they have a completely opposite system to Korea, where it's very, very student-centered and everything is driven by the teacher. And again, this is something we have to do in Korea. I've done research in Finland. In Finland, if you want to be a teacher, it takes 6 years. 4 years in university, 2 years in school. 2 years in school. My students have 4 weeks in school. 4 weeks. What do they learn in 4 weeks? Nothing. Nothing. 2 years in school where you're an assistant teacher, the professor comes in and watches you. Your supervising teacher watches you and helps you. 2 years. And then at the end of that, you have an MA. You have an MA in teaching. You are an expert after that. And in Finland, teaching is a very high-level job. Lots of competition to become a teacher. And if you don't make the grade, there are lots of other people who'll come in and do the job. And in the Korean ministry, the Korean curriculum, almost nothing. I actually visited the Korean Ministry of Education, and I said, please show me your curriculum. And it was very, very thin. And what they said is, we don't make the curriculum. The schools make the curriculum. It's up to them. All we ask is, in your class, the students must pass the CEFR. Do we know the CEFR? In Europe, the Curriculum for English Framework, something like that. It's the assessment method that's used all over Europe, the CEFR. Please check it out. Do a Google search, CEFR. So we say your students must pass level A2 on the CEFR. Your students must pass level B2 on. Your students must pass level B1, and that's it. That's it. And it's up to you how you teach your students. You can teach any way you want to, as long as they pass the A2 or the B2. So in Finland, teachers can be really creative, really student-centered. All they have to do is help their students to pass the test. And they do it by projects and all sorts of student-centered activities. It's wonderful. So that's a way Korea can go, and Korean students would be very good at that. Here we are. Here's the 2012 PISA. I'd just like to show you this. Again, if you want to see this online, just do a search, 2012 PISA overall results. And if you're lucky, this comes up. There it is. So we click on main results, and there we go. Can you see Korea? Can you see Korea? What color is Korea? It's darker than all the other countries, isn't it? It's the darkest country in the world. And that's because it's better than the OECD average. So here's the OECD average, and Korea is way up there. It's the darkest country in the world. This is the sort of thing we're looking at. So if we click on Korea, what happens? Country profile. This is a little bit difficult, but let me show you. Green is better than the OECD average. Orange is around the OECD average, and red is not as good as the average. Right, well look, there's no red on there. It's only orange and green. So everything is better. And you notice the arrows? The arrows mean getting better. Neutral and doing less well. So here we've got lots of neutral and we've got better, getting better. So this is the profile of Korean on the PISA, much better than the world average and getting better. So again, don't blame your students. Don't blame the students. I believe the Sunum test is holding them back at the moment because they can do amazing things. If you get your students doing projects, learning English by projects, discovery learning, learning, they will give you amazing results. They really will. They will surprise you. But if they do the Sunum test, all they can do is pass the Sunum test, and then they forget everything. So what happened? Right. And there are other ways of choosing students, but let's move on. Oh dear. Let's go back to Prezi. There we go. We've done that. We're going backwards. Let's go the other way. There we go. And here we are. Here's the IBT TOEFL rankings. So again, I'm still making the point all the time of not blaming the students, not even blaming the system. Because look, there's Korea, 85. It's doing better than it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, it was 80. Now it's going up. The top one in Asia is Singapore. Of course, English is the second language there. So why isn't English the second language here? English is a global language. It's the lingua franca. All businessmen and women speak in English. Why don't we have English as the second language here? That would really help. That really would. And you can see Japan is at the bottom. Wow. And there you are. There's the red ones are Singapore and the blue ones are Korea. Now here's another one. This is very interesting. This is from Teaching and Learning International Survey. Again, this is by the United Nations, OECD, something like that. And they've surveyed people from 19 different countries, teachers. So if you do a search for TALIS, you'll find they've surveyed teachers from all these countries, and they've asked them lots and lots of questions, lots and lots of questions. And this is one of the questions, which was, on the left is job satisfaction. And this one is self-efficacy, which means, am I effective? Am I effective in teaching my students? So you can see Norway up there. The teachers think they are effective and they have job satisfaction. So let's all go to Norway, shall we? Let's all go to Norway. Where's Korea? Can you see Korea? This has got to change, hasn't it? Korea has the lowest the lowest efficacy. So the job satisfaction is about average, but look at that efficacy. And I've seen this with lots and lots of teachers who say, I can't teach, I'm not allowed to teach. I know how I want to teach, but I'm not allowed to teach. I have to teach page 52 today. I have to prepare my students for the test. If I don't do that, Gyojang will be angry. Yes, the parents will be angry. What can I do? And this is what we have to think about. What can you do? How are you going to change this? How are you going to have better job satisfaction, and how are you going to be more efficacious? My answer to the second one is go and have a look at Finland and see how teachers are getting an amazing results by holistic student teaching. And it will happen, don't worry, we'll get a Prime Minister who understands this eventually. Here we are, here's Finland. This is what a classroom looks like in Finland. This is a middle school classroom. It's actually an English zone. So parents can choose in this school, they can say, I want my son to learn in English. So every subject in this classroom is in English. Maths, geography, history, everything. And the parents can ask and they can say, I want this to happen. And this started about 20 years ago. 20 years, this is in Vasa, which is the west of Finland. 20 years ago, they started a bilingual research program. Bilingual research. And they started teaching bilingually. And the government said, you can only have this many students, no more, because we want to see if it works. And you have to wait for 20 years before we think about it. But it was so successful that the parents just went to the government and they said, no, no, we want this. We want this bilingual education. So there's one answer, the parents. The parents. The parents are very, very powerful, really. In Canada, you know they have immersion teaching in Canada. That wasn't started by professors. It wasn't started by teachers. It was started by parents. Parents got together and they said, we want our children to be bilingual. And they started a school. And they got bilingual teachers into that school. And it gradually grew. From that point, another school, more teachers. Another school, more teachers. And it grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And there have been thousands of academic articles written about immersion. Thousands of them. And they all say it's very, very successful. Because when you're learning English and Korean at the same time, both languages get better. Both languages get better. If you're learning Korean and French at the same time, or Korean and Chinese, or English and Chinese, both languages get better. And there we are. This is what happens in Finland. Much better teacher training. Core curriculum is very, very slow, very low. Trust. They trust the teachers. Choice. Parents have choice, and it's a learning culture, just like in Korea. It's a learning culture. And there's a dynamic learning model. This is the sort of thing we can do in our classroom now. We can have classroom-based assessment. Okay, so you can still have a final test at the end of the semester, but during the semester, you can have classroom-based assessment. You can make your students confident and motivated. You can do holistic learning, positive affect, autonomy, task-based learning, education of the whole person, non-threatening environment, group work. These are things we can do in the classroom. Right. I'll take a break here. So, this book is called English Next. And up to now, you could download it from the internet, from British Council. But I had a look last week and it wasn't there. So if you want it, send me an email and I'll send it to you. And it's a wonderful book. It's all about, the British Council asked David Graddle, what's going to happen to English in the next 20 years? And the first thing he said was, well, here you are, here's EFL, and this is global English. This is what's going to happen now. And this is wonderful. I love this graph. It's a beautiful graph. Here we are, 1960, 70, 80, 90, 2000, 2010. This is the number of English learners in the world. And look what's happening. From 2010, it's coming down. It's coming down. This is what's happening to English now. This is why you're going to be teaching science in English and history in English, because your learners are going to be bilingual. Already in university, every year the freshmen are more fluent in English. Every year their level goes up. And what's happening is round the world, everybody is learning English in elementary school. Everywhere. And as you know, even in Korea, they're learning in Yuchiwon. They're learning English. So when they get to high school, they're fluent. They can speak English. This is what's happening. And so they don't need to be taught English anymore. This is what's happening. The only people who need to learn English are the remedial students. But otherwise, the level is going up so quickly that the number of actual English learners is going down. So this is what we have to think about. And there you are. This is another thing now. This boy has passed the Chinese proficiency test in America, I think. There are loads of overseas students outside of China taking the Chinese proficiency test. And there it is. This is the number of people taking the Chinese proficiency test outside China. And here's 1991. And this is 2005. Imagine where it is now, 9 years later. It's up there somewhere, isn't it? This is the number of people studying Chinese outside of China. So something we have to think about, how long will English be the global language? Is Chinese going to be the next global language? Are they going to be together? Why don't we have bilingual schools in Korea, Korean and Chinese? Why so much focus on English? China is right next door. Why aren't we learning Chinese? In Australia, they're learning Chinese. Really? Chinese is going to be really, really important. Right, now we're getting into smart technology. So we've done all this about language and postmodernism. Let's have a look at some learning technology. And you know, technology has completely changed our lives. Just in a few years. I remember, let me think, 15 years ago, I asked my students to get an email. 1997, I said to my students, please get an email. And they said, what's an email? This was 1997. They didn't know what was an email. Now they're all cacaoing and doing all sorts of things all the time. They're on the smartphones all the time. We're using the smartphones in class. It's just amazing now. So we're in a learning revolution. And again, do a search for this book, The New Learning Revolution. It's a really good book, and it'll give you all sorts of ideas about what's happening now. And this is one of the things that is happening, language robots. Did you see the article it was in the Korea Times last year, where it says robots are going to replace teachers in elementary schools? Did you see that? I don't think it's going to happen, but robots really can help us. They can help us to teach English because they're a perfect model. They never make a mistake. Their pronunciation is always correct. Yes? They can really help us with vocabulary and all sorts of things. This is called Dave. I want to show you Dave. It's called a Pandora bot. We'll have a look at the link in a minute. Let's just see what we can do with Dave.
You can chat with me about any topic for as long as you like for up to 1 month.
Dave is very interactive. You see, if I put the cursor here, he watches it. Isn't that amazing? Dave costs me $10 for 1 month. But all my students can use Dave. This is a wonderful, wonderful way of practicing for my students, because you ask Dave a question and he replies. Yes, and you can see his reply up here. Shall we ask him a question? What should we ask him? Oh, let's have a look. So we'll start off with, what's your name? And straight away, we have writing. Students have to type. They have to type their question, and they have to get it correct. So that's one thing.
My name is Dave.
And there's the answer. So there's the student question, there's the answer. Let's have another question. How old are you? So again, we have the typing. How old are you?
I am 29 in human years.
Yes. How about where do you live?
I am living in Chicago. Where are you?
One person actually said, will you marry me? Will you marry me?
Why don't you just download me?
Isn't that amazing? So now our students can use this for asking questions. And we've got writing, we've got composing the sentence, we've got listening, we've got interaction happening with Dave. Let's have a more complex question. Let's ask, who is... Oh, it's gone. Oh dear. Come back, Dave. Let's get out of there. There.
You can chat with me about any topic for as long as you like for up to 1 month.
Who is the president of Korea?
I'm not that into politics, is it?
Isn't that great? Isn't that lovely? So it's giving good answers to the students. You know, it's not like Google Translate or something like that. This is really giving good answers. It's got a huge database. So almost every question you can think of is in there, plus an answer. So this is wonderful. Now to find this, it's Dave ESL bot, B-O-T. ESL B-O-T. And it's on SitePal. So I think the best thing to do really is to do a Google search. Dave ESL bot. I wonder if that comes up. So we did Dave ESL bot, and this is the one. Pandora bots. And there's Alice bot. What you'll find there is there's lots of them. There's ladies, all sorts of things, but I think they cost more. You have to pay more money for them, but that's okay. As I said, this one, I like this one. It's only $10 a month, and all your students can use it. And so, if we go back to Dave, where's he gone? So, if you want to, what you could say to your students is, ask Dave 10 questions, and print the screen, print this out. Just print screen, and now I can see your 10 questions, and I can see his answers as well. So this is a very useful homework to get students, go home, do this, interact with Dave, 10 questions, give it to me, or put it in your portfolio. Good. This is the sort of thing that happens, isn't it? Okay. I don't want that. Okay. So here we are. Here's the digital revolution. You all know about this. There we are. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Flickr, Yahoo. All these social media all over the place. Wikipedia. Do you know about OpenOffice? OpenOffice is very good. Because, you know, especially Microsoft. Microsoft, again, this is a little bit imperialistic, because you have to pay loads of money to get Microsoft. And poor students in Bangladesh or Africa, they haven't got that money. So what are they going to do? The answer is they download OpenOffice. OpenOffice is free. It's like Wikipedia. It's very similar to Wikipedia. It was made by lots of people around the world. They all got together, well, you know, networking, and they said, let's make Office, but let's make it free. So now you can go to OpenOffice and you can download word processor, spreadsheet, database, PowerPoint. You can download these in OpenOffice and they're free. And when you make a file, it doesn't have to be an OpenOffice file. You can save as MS Word, which is great. When you're doing a spreadsheet, you can save as MS Excel. So it's actually interactive with MS Office. It's so popular, MS Office has actually acknowledged it. So please go and have a look at it, OpenOffice. Try it out, it's really good. And it's, as I said, it's made by experts around the world, and it's continually getting better, and it's in lots and lots of languages. So try it out. Here we are, the digital revolution. So this is what's happening in our classroom now. And students are using their smartphones all the time. Even when they're walking along the road, they're going like this. I think there must be lots of accidents. Now here we are. Do you remember that book I told you about? Can we go back? Yes. There's Dave. Do you remember this book, The Learning Revolution? This is what the book looks like. So what it does is it gives you two types of input. It gives you a heading like it's global, and then it gives lots of explanation. It's interactive. So what they do in this book is on the left side of the page, they just put something very, very quickly. So you can read the whole book by just reading the left-hand pages. You can read it very, very quickly. And if you find something interesting, you can go and read the other things. So it's interactive. It's easily shared. Whoops. It's personal. It's co-creative. It's often free. It's instant. So here you can see this is what they do. They put something like this, and if you like that, you can go and read that as well. So this is what's happening. 6-year-olds are making their own television shows. This is incredible, isn't it? How about, this is Yuchiwon. How about in the Yuchiwon saying, hey Jisoo, why don't you make your own TV show? Wow. And they can do this. They really can, if you give them the tools to do it with. More than half the world's people have mobile phones. 83 million videos for English lessons. What have we got? Yes, not long ago, parents left their child's education to schools. Now, real-life adult experiences balance the high-tech of youth. You can share your family photo album with millions. You can create your own global TV channel. We can create our own 3D digital artwork on home computers. This is 5-year-olds. 59 million teachers still work mainly by themselves. Now fiber optics, low orbiting satellites, wireless make global classrooms possible. Imagine computer lessons instantly at your fingertips. Access to 35,000 online video tutorials for $1 to $2 per student per year. The era of chalkboard and passive listening is finally ending. School can be fun and involving with interactive electronic screens and global lesson planning sharing. Okay. So this is happening now. If you give the students freedom to do this, if you say, please make a project, I want you to make a travel brochure of Daegu, give it to me 3 weeks later, they'll do it. They'll go and they'll research all sorts of things. They'll interview people, they'll do videos, they'll make a multimedia presentation. They can do it. They really can. Right. Now I'm going to change the topic a little bit, because we've been talking about how wonderful all this teaching is, how wonderful all these technology things are, but we are the teachers. And we're not just language teachers. We don't just teach language. We have to think about our students. And as I said, all our students are individuals. They're all unique. But this is what's happening to them outside the classroom. This is what they're seeing on television. This is what they're seeing when they do their computer games. What are we going to do about this? Students are growing up in a world of frightening problems. How can we deal with this? We've got to deal with this, because these things are diverting the students. They're not learning English while they're worried about all these things. Well, one thing, we can be a role model. That's the best thing you can do straight away. There's a very famous quote, I think it's by Alan Maley, who said, students do not learn the language, students learn the teacher. Students learn the teacher. We are role models. They're watching us all the time. We can be counselors, mentors, psychologists. I feel very strongly about this, because for me it's a big shame that English is applied linguistics. For me it's not. No, it's not applied linguistics. We are not linguists. We are not linguists. We are mentors, we are psychologists, we are social counselors. English teaching is applied psychology. It's applied sociology. That's who we are. If we just go in and teach English and forget about the human being, we're not going to have good results, and we're not helping them. We are applied psychologists. That's how we motivate our students. Right, let me show you again. This is a commercial. And again, this is the sort of thing that students are seeing on television, and it's making their values. It's giving them their values. So why are you learning English? I want a dream car. I want to have lots of sexy ladies coming around me. I want to be the king. Now, what sort of values have we got on in here? You see, this is total consumerism and sexism. This is the sort of value that they're getting from this system of values. I think we have to do something about this, right? There we are, postmodern values. So these are the things that the students are valuing. What are we going to do about this? I think the first thing is to put this the right way around. There we are. So students are growing up in a world of conflicting values. Truth is relative. Beauty is ambiguous. Greed is good. Have you heard of this one? Greed is good. This is the motto of Wall Street in the 80s and 90s. They actually said this. In Wall Street in America, they said, greed is good. Because if I earn loads and loads and loads and loads of money, then it will trickle down to the other people. That was the idea. So it's okay to be really, really greedy. And again, this is something, this doesn't agree with Yi Tae-ge or Confucius, Gongja. None of that doesn't agree with ancient societies at all. But it's what our students are getting. What's this? Hongik Ingan. Hongik Ingan. This is what we need to be teaching now. Did you know that Hongik Ingan is the goal of education in Korea? Did you know that? If you go to the UNESCO site, go to the Ministry of Education, KAIS, and it'll say there, the goal of education in Korea is Hongik Ingan. Right, so this is what we have to do. And this is what I'm telling my students. I don't teach English, I teach Hongik Ingan. So if Gyeojang Nim comes in and says, what are you doing, all your students doing drama and what all these things? I say, I'm teaching Hongik Ingan. Do you want to argue with that? And if you do teach Hongik Ingan, they will pass the Sunam test. Really. Because Hongik Ingan means cooperation, collaboration, teamwork, respect, kindness, compassion, effort, diligence, organization. This is what we're giving the students now, if we've got Hongik Ingan in our classes. If that is happening in our classes, just think how we're helping the students. We're helping them to become human beings, real human beings, and they will learn English while they're doing it. They really will. So there we are, holistic teaching. The classroom is a microcosm of society. The teacher is a role model. The teacher can model values. So this is bottom-up teaching. Instead of top-down, waiting for the national curriculum to tell us to do Hongik Ingan, we're doing bottom-up from our classroom. And we're saying change begins in my classroom. Okay. Now this is one particular aspect. As I said, drama. I actually teach in Kyungpook a course on how to use drama to teach English. And it's wonderful. The students are incredible because we have individuality, character development, creativity, knowledge, values, culture. These things, by the way, these are all, if you go and read the Hongik Ingan, it says creativity, it says individuality, it says knowledge, culture, contribution. All these things are in drama when you get drama in the classroom. And it doesn't have to be an end of semester drama. It can be role plays, theatre games, mimes, especially when the students write their own mini drama. It's fantastic. It's really good. If you get middle school students to write their own mini drama, they start writing about bullying and about passing the test and about parents who won't let them be singers and things like this, parents who want them to be doctors. They start writing about their problems, and then they perform the drama about their problems, and then they talk about their problems. It's really good. So what I've done here we are, this is finchpark.com. If you go /drama, I've put lots and lots of activities up there that you can use in the classroom. Here we are. So here there are lots and lots of activities that you can use and you can download. There's classroom activities. Theatre games, mime, action stories, role plays, mini dramas, projects. There's some drama scripts. These are really good because you know it's very difficult to write a script, especially for elementary students. Here's loads and loads of scripts that you can get online. And here's Reader's Theatre. Check out Reader's Theatre. It's really good because you can download lots of scripts and all that happens is the students sit in a group and they read it. That's it, Reader's Theatre. And let's have a look at this, middle school and high school scripts. Fun plays for learning English, elementary. Oh, let's have a look at this video. So students can make dramas like that by themselves. If you have a look at here, elementary drama scripts, there's some in there. And fun plays for learning English, that play is in there. You can download it in there. Look at this, fairy tale scripts, 1, 2, 3. If you go here, here we are, fairy tale scripts. 165. 165 on page 1, page 2, page 3. $499 fairy tale scripts. Isn't that amazing? And they're all, you know, they're all Ant and the Grasshopper, that sort of thing. And they're from around the world. There you are, Cinderella, Spirit Inside the Bottle, The Mice Wedding, The Chair. And it tells you 7 characters, 3 characters, 10 characters. So have a look at this. This is really great resource to download this sort of stuff. Saves you a lot of trouble. And you can just read it in class. You don't have to perform it. You can just get the students to read it. So as I said, there's loads, there's some elementary ones there. If we go to drama scripts again, there are middle school, high school scripts, Reader's Theatre. This is very good as well, radio dramas online. This is the sort of thing we have now. You can actually listen to these online, really good for advanced students. For instance, what have we got? Short stories, audiobooks, novellas, short stories, intermediate, advanced, songs. If we go audiobooks, there we are. Actually, yes, let's look at the collection. There are all these books that we can list. There's The Catcher in the Rye. So we can actually listen to The Catcher in the Rye. And as you can see, we've got faster listening speed and we've got slower listening speed. So there's the text, and we can listen to it.
Part 1. Chapter 1. My mom died today. Or yesterday, maybe, I don't know. I got a telegram from the home. Mother deceased, funeral tomorrow, faithfully yours. Part 1. Chapter 1. My mom died today. Or yesterday, maybe, I don't know. I got a telegram from the home. Mother deceased.
So as I said, these are really good for advanced upper intermediate students. There's loads of them, so you can just see, read the collection. There's the collection. Asimov, Fitzgerald, Roth, Stephen King. Loads of them. There's songs as well. So this sort of thing is on the internet now, and it's really, really good. Right. So there you are. That was at the bottom. That was Radio Dramas Online. Project Pack. Here, this is lots of activities for using drama. And these are all PDF files that you can download. Lots of activities there. That's for drama projects. Let me just show you. This is English night. So what we've been doing in Yongo Gyoyok, we've been, every year we do, this year we did Our Town by Thornton Wilder. The Importance of Being Earnest, Romeo and Juliet, Death of a Salesman. So this is really good. Again, this is what university students can do. But again, basically I do nothing. I just say to the students, please choose a drama, choose a director, off you go. And in 6 weeks' time, you're going to perform it. Actually, we don't do that. We start at the end of the spring semester. We say, choose a drama, choose a director, off you go. And then during the vacation, they edit and they learn their lines. And then they come back to school in September and they perform 3 weeks later. And they do everything. And it's incredible. It's just amazing what they do. And they have an amazing experience. Let me just show you here. For instance, here's Our Town. I hope. Can we get Our Town? There we are. Right, I don't want to go on too long about that, but they just did amazingly. And here, at the end, I asked them, at the end, write a report about doing the drama. And they do things like this. This is a prezi made by the directors about the actual drama. They do incredible things. But let's have a look. Okay. While we're here, so this is my video page. This is finchpark.com videos/videos. And here we have lots and lots of videos about teaching English. So please check it out. There's lots of things here that you can look at, lots of teaching methodology in there. And here's some drama videos. Here's some elementary school dramas. And I want to show you this one. This was made by elementary school students in 3 weeks. They wrote the text, they wrote it themselves, they rehearsed themselves, they performed, they did the video. But the teacher does the speaking. You'll see. Can we have that? Ah, good.
Once upon a time, there lived Cinderella. She lost her mother when she was young, so she lived with the stepmother and stepsister. Cinderella was very beautiful and nice. stepmother and stepsister went to a party.
Cinderella, you're going to a party. Stay home and clean the house. I'm sorry. I'm so sad. Yes, I do. I heard that too.
Finally, Cinderella went to the party.
Wow, nice party. I really enjoyed this party. Dancing. Oh, what a beautiful girl. Hello, my dear. Will you dance with me? You must be. Yes. Of course, I'd love to.
Suddenly, the bear started to ring.
Are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. I really love you. Will you marry me? Yes. I can get married. Hooray! Go to the dresser.
So as I said, they did that in 3 weeks. That's lovely. So please check out these activities. Please have a look at them. Again, you can download anything you want to there. Or let's just go back while we're at it. What am I doing? Let's have a look at these drama videos. So there's lots of drama videos you can look at there, teaching videos, university students, lots of things there. And teaching methodology, lots of videos there about teaching methodology. Also humorous videos. You've been a wonderful audience today, you've been really good, so I'd like to show you a funny English learning video.
Excuse me. Sorry. Do you speak English?
No, I don't, sorry.
My car's broken down and I wondered if you could tell me where to find a garage.
Well, you know, that's West on me. I don't understand what you're saying.
I don't speak English at all.
Not a word, no. It's one of those things where I wish I'd paid more attention in school, but, excuse me. Sorry. Do you speak any English? English? No. I don't know, I don't understand it.
Hi, my car's broken down and I need to find a garage.
No, I'm sorry. I don't understand that at all.
Alright, well, thanks.
So if you go down that way, about half a mile, there's a village. There might be somebody there that speaks English.
Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Deutsch, nein. Sprichst du Deutsch? Deutsch?
Nun, weil nur 2 Wörter, aber ich bin nicht fließend. Yeah, sorry about that. Hey, you never know. Next time you're over, maybe we'll learn a bit of English for you.
Ja, maar de Deutsch vielleicht.
Ja, das wäre toll.
Thanks, man.
I can speak English.
Good, send her in.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. President.
Oh, Condoleezza, nice to see you. What's happening?
Well, Mr. President, I have a report here about the new leader in China.
Good morning, Condi. Lay it on me.
Mr. President, who is the new leader of China?
Well, that's what I want to know.
Well, that's what I'm telling you, Mr. President.
Well, that's what I'm asking you, Condi. Who is the new leader of China?
Yes.
I mean the fella's name.
Q.
The guy in China.
Q.
The new leader of China.
Q.
The Chinaman.
Q is leading China, Mr. President.
What are you asking me for?
I'm telling you, Q is leading China.
Well, I'm asking you, Condi, who is leading China?
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Will you or will you not tell me the name of the new leader of China?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Arafat is in China. I thought he was in the Middle East.
That's correct, sir.
Then who's in China?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir's in China?
No, sir.
Then who is?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir?
No, sir.
Connie, you're starting to piss me off now, and it's not because you're black neither. I need to know the name of the new leader of China, so I want you to get me the Secretary General of the United Nations on the phone.
Coffee, Anna?
No, thanks. And Connie, call me George. Stop with that ebonics crap.
You want coffee?
No.
You don't want coffee?
No, but now you mention it, I could use a glass of milk. And then get me the UN.
Yes, sir.
Not yes, sir. The guy at the United Nations.
Coffee.
Milk. Will you please make that call?
You call who?
Well, who's the guy at the UN?
No, who is the guy in China?
Will you stay out of China?
Yes, sir.
And stay out of the Middle East. Just get me the guy at the UN.
Coffee.
All right. With cream and 2 sugars. Now get on the phone.
Hello. Right here.
Rice. Good idea. And get a couple of egg rolls, too, Connie. I can send some to the guy in China. And the Middle East. Can you get Chinese food in the Middle East? I don't know.
So check them out. These are funny videos here. There we are. Thank you for your time. So as I said, go to Finch Park. Thank you very much. Finally, I've got some advice for you here. He's saying, welcome. Today's topic is how to give a presentation without losing your audience's attention. The end. So the way to give a presentation is just to say, hello, the end. So thank you very much.